I think we're here. Hello. I am Rachel Adams, and I am hosting Breaking the Block this week for writer Sam Wicker. And I have two co-hosts so far. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, starting with Maggie and going to Skye.
Hello, lovelies. Mama Maggie Ward here, independent author and stroke survivor, and I do books. My next book coming out is The Spartan Chimera, which will be out on August 18th of this month. When the great game of the gods starts repeating, the god of war Ares bets Zeus that he can win the game with one piece and bring peace for a generation. August 18th.
Okay, Skye.
All right. Hello, everyone. I am Skye. I'm a fantasy author who typically writes paranormal romance under the name SDA, and I am barely awake, so I don't have anything else this morning at the moment.
That's acceptable. Like I said, I'm different because I wound up getting, I don't know, my brain woke me up at 6:30 this morning. So for me, I was just like, okay, well, I give up. I might as well do it. So I've been up for a while. I want to say hello to everybody that's come in so far. Besides us, there has been Luna's Mystical Delights, one of our usual co-hosts. Kay Parquet has come in and said hello. And then Catball. I am trying to see because it's really a Catball Rosales. Yes. Hello. Good morning, everybody. So a little bit more on me. I've got two series going on at the same time. One is a prequel series for the urban fantasy series that we started to begin with. And because we have a lot of things going on with the same characters, we get into blocks sometimes where we're like, what's next? What do we need to do next? Or I'm tired of this. You get tired of it because we've written it, but now we've got to revise it. And so after a while as an author, you get to a point where you're like, oh my gosh, do I have to read this again? What do I need to do to get out of this? So I think that because we've all dealt with that, that's the reason Sam has an amazing idea with coming up with this for us to just chat it out. This week I did a reset. I don't know if anybody else has done resets. I think that I saw several people mention them in videos and stuff. So I wanted to mention that as a possible method of getting out of the dumps when it comes to your writing. Has anybody else here done that?
You're muted.
Sorry about that. The dogs started barking and I tapped the mute. I actually am because I start the August 80K this month, which is writing or editing 80,000 words in a month. I'm doing a reset from working on Relic of Time for Camp Nano Edmo. So, and actually for Camp Nano Edmo, I read Rachel's book. I read Anna's book. I read Sophie's book. I worked on my own editing stuff for two different books. And so I'm completely in that must edit mindset. So with the anniversary, I haven't been online for most of this week. We took a little trip, and the whole trip I had no devices with me. I was only getting on like just late in the evening or really early in the morning. And I took paper books, and I'm actually reading the Phryne Fisher mysteries. And that is how I'm resetting. And starting today is when I'm going to restart Cowboy a la carte for the August 80K. So I completely took myself from where I was, went completely on something that has absolutely nothing to do with anything that I'm creating right now. And now I'm going to slot back into where I need to be. But it's basically like, I use just these little short kind of cozy mystery things as a palate cleanser. And it's palate cleansing isn't just for food. It's not just something you do between meals and between drinks. You can do this in your creative life by just going, finding something completely different and going back, and then bringing yourself back around to what you need to work on.
Skye?
I was trying to think. I did a reset, but it was more a monthly reset because I had only planned out goals for July. And so I was like, okay, did this work in July? Yes, let's continue it on in August kind of thing. But it didn't really do anything for the writing stuff because it just is more of the same thing, if that makes any sense. I just had to like put them down in physical form that I was continuing on with the same kind of goals. So it wasn't really a reset. It was more just getting everything down that I needed to do. And I don't think I've done an actual reset recently that I can think of. So I don't.
Well, I've had two different kinds of resets. One has been since everything happened as far as health is concerned. My doctors introduced me to a reset because I was stressing out because everything was getting pushed aside. Right? I couldn't read, and I couldn't stay awake for long periods of time for a while. And so I would freak out because I was like, oh, I had all this stuff planned, and, everything was just, done by a quarterly, and everything was just so perfectly planned. And my doctor just had to look at me and go, your health comes first, and your body's just not going to do it. So you've really got to reset your mind frame. And so that's why I call that a type of reset where you have to reimagine things because something happened. You can't do things according to plan. So then I go back through and do a planner reset, which is what I did because we had a lot of stuff go on this summer that kept us from getting things done according to plan, So I was just like, okay, for one thing, I do a lot of this stuff. Like I do a lot of appearances and sprints and things like that. And I had to pull back on that. So pulling back on that and then resetting for a whole week, I just did nothing but my writing. Instead of doing promos, instead of posting things, I went ahead and made sure that I had things set so that it would post, but I didn't actually get into that and get myself lost in it. And I didn't, other than today, this week, I haven't done any appearances. I haven't done any interviews. As I was setting this up, I did one video and that's it. I'm just like, okay, that's it. And that was more of a, hey, I want to play with Canva for a while. So that was kind of like a little reset there in and of itself. So yeah, for me, that's like the two different kinds of resets for me. And so I got my planner out and I was like, okay, if I'm not working on in like none of the other kind of stuff, just writing, then that reset my brain. Because I get ADHD and scroll around to too much stuff, and resetting makes me go, no, you're supposed to be doing this. That's the most important thing.
I think sometimes we need that break though to kind of, everyone talks about refilling the well all the time. And I think that's exactly sometimes what we need is we need not just the reset, but just to keep our minds off things for a little bit to kind of refill the well and make sure we can continue with that creative portion of our lives. Like one of the things is I was joking. I streamed last night. And then one of the things I was saying right before we went live is that I went to bed around like 2 a.m. So I'm only running on like 4.5 to 5 hours of sleep right now. And after my stream, it was literally because I was trying to, originally my plan was to play a game that they just released a demo for. And I hadn't had a chance to play it yet. But then I was like, oh, I eventually want to start streaming gaming stuff on Twitch every once in a blue moon. So I spent the 2 hours playing around with Twitch trying to figure that out. Didn't get anywhere, but I still played around with it for 2 hours. And it was just a different mindset from writing. And I'm just like, okay, can we go back to writing now?
So Angel says, I love reading books on the genre I'm writing and listening to music at the same time. So that helps with the reset for her. And Cat Paw's like, I need a holiday for myself. And I get that. I get that. I get, like I said, squirrely, and I'm like, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. And taking a vacation from that mindset is very helpful for breaking a block. Cami says she was all set to wind down, then the dog was like, let's do this thing.
Right at the end of my stream, my dogs went crazy playing with each other. I legit ended because I couldn't talk anymore. I was laughing so hard at them. I was just like, I'm gonna go, guys. Bye.
Hello, Sarah. Thank you for hugging the like button. Mentioning it.
Hello, lovelies.
If you enjoy this, definitely hit the like button. Thank you.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
See, my thing is I have OCD goal brain, and I kind of did a reset at the beginning of July because, like you all know, I've been struggling with migraines for about the last 18, 20 months. Just they're constantly changing my medicine, constantly trying to figure it out, and I did nothing the second quarter. I did nothing the second quarter of this year. So for the third quarter, I'm like, I've got to get reset. I've got to get back on my schedule because OCD goal brain is like, must do the thing. And that's why, like, when, hubby and I go away, I leave this stuff at home, the writing stuff at home, because I would have jumped right into Cowboy a la carte and not have been in editing brain instead of in writing brain. So it's taking just that little side time really helps, is really a helpful thing. Like I said, it's a palate cleanser, and our creativity needs a palate cleanser sometimes. Our trying to get the stuff done, you need to sometimes you just need to step back, find something else to do. Watching movies. I'm doing this thing I do this thing in my planners where I write down I've been writing down all of the shows that I watch that are like inspiring to me. Like if something is creatively inspiring to me, I've started tracking the creative sources. And it's like, I don't put everything I watch onto this list, but something that like sparks like a story idea or a creative like idea thought into me, I will write that down. If it's a book, if it's on Netflix, if it's on Freeview, whatever I'm watching, I'm like,
Do you write down what part specifically got to you?
I will write the name of the show, and if it's like a specific episode, like right now I'm rewatching the entirety of Numbers.
Ooh, I remember.
So I will write down the episode, the season and episode. And I was watching one movie and actually made a note on it on what specific part inspired me. But most of the time, I just put the name and what platform I consumed it on, I guess is what you would say.
Yeah, I really need to do that. There are so many things that influenced me that I could go back and watch and get inspired by, and I've just kind of broken away from most of that. And I think that my brain has suffered a little bit from it because you need to get away. Like I have a friend who has Netflix, and we did a kind of a watch date. There was like 4 of us, and we have been binge watching Stranger Things because we've all enjoyed it. One person in the group has never seen it, so we're getting to enjoy the the gasps and the delights and stuff from that. And it's, if you've watched Stranger Things, it's like a 80s nostalgia bomb, and it's just lots of fun, and it's been kind of my reset. And you're right, it's like sometimes you've got to like step away and be like, look, let's do something fun. There's no real reason to do this, but there are certain scenes that get to me, and I'll write those down in my journal.
Yeah, it's really easy, like Cami was saying, to get hyper focused on something, and that hyper focus is actually the thing that starts killing your creativity. And Cat Paw, she's grinding out she is at the end. She is finally to that thing. She's been working on her novel for 10 years now, and she's like, she just wants
Congratulations.
to be done. And it's like, you've got this. You've got this. You're at the end. But it's so, sometimes you just get to this point where you're just like, I just want to, and you have to step back. That was part, and
it's tough.
And as indie writers, we have so much more pressure on us than, like, say, the pub house writers.
Mm-hmm.
Because, they got that crew to step up and, like, look at your stuff. You got an agent to look at your stuff. You've got an editor to look at your stuff. They've got that. But as an indie writer, the entire burden is on us. And that in itself can be the thing that turns our focus into something that, instead of, being the thing that etches out the calligraphy, it's a diamond drill bit just poking you in the center of the forehead. And
ouch,
it's hard. It's hard to like get.
I know I want to do this.
Yeah, but think about it. We all of us have published. All of us have self-published, and we've all and I know Skye's done this, and I am 99.99999% sure that Rachel has done this, gotten into that vortex of where the more the vortex spins, the further the creativity spins out of it. It's like a centrifuge.
Yeah.
And we're so focused on getting it fixed and getting it done and getting it out that we lose the ability to have the joy in the project as well. Because as creatives, that's one of the things that feeds us. And doing the resets, I think, is very important, because if you cannot make yourself step back from something, you're going to squeeze the life out until you're like, I don't like this book. I don't like this project.
Yeah, we came up with a lot of neat stuff this week, because again, like you said, it's like I did a reset because I knew that my co-author was going to be busy. She had work pretty much all week. But so this weekend, we play ARC, and we have a server in common. So we started playing the video game, and then we would be playing, and then I would pause somewhere and write part of a scene because I just felt like doing it. And then she's like, "Oh, you added," and she goes running off to do it, because it's like we're addicted to each other's stuff. So, and we actually came up, y'all are gonna, the ones that read it, y'all are gonna be happy, I think, because we came up with stuff that we didn't even plan to begin with in this next book. But yeah, it took the reset, pulling away from that, and just doing, I wanted to dive into just my writing, but not the particular projects I was working on. I just wanted to write for fun. And that's what I did this week. And it really helped my brain a lot. I need to go back and look at our chat real quick. So Angel says, in my current situation, it's more difficult, LOL. Kami says, my struggle is hyper-focus, and rather than helping creativity, it tends to kill it, which is what Maggie was just talking about. Yes, agreed. Panda breaks it. as she just meowed for me to join her on the carpet. And again, still listening. Cat Paw, got my work in progress. I want to finish so I can send it to betas, and also my first novel. What I hope is the last pass before the test readers, and I just want it to be done. I get that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. It's just that sometimes I so get it right now, because Maggie can tell you I've basically taken this novel and turned it into 3 parts to send to beta readers, because we keep having struggles with it, and it's like that I just want it done at this point, but I would, if I had just pushed myself to get it done, some of these scenes that we just wrote this weekend wouldn't be in there. They would never have been created because we would have pushed ourselves too hard. So yeah, you got this. You can do it. It's been 10 years in the making. Make sure it's perfect, make sure it's what you want it to be, and creative wise. Don't overdo anything.
Well, it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be perfect for you.
Yes.
Perfect. You're the author. And they're like, oh, don't hang up, don't, it's your book, babies. Yeah, but you gotta let the kids go, push them out of the house, close the door, change the locks. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
That doesn't work. Just saying, that doesn't work.
Well, we told our kids, with as high as rent, as ridiculously high as rent in Colorado is, it's like, yeah, we've got the extra house. We've got the extra house room. Just help with the groceries and the utilities, and you guys can just live with us, because I don't want you to live in the neighborhood you can afford to live in, and then get that call that you done been shot. Mm-hmm. So, it's a thing.
Rita says she hyperfocus.
Welcome.
She hyperfocus on specific projects, but I'm getting better at splitting my time. Kitty, what a time to stand back up from my own kitty snuggles. Lots of kitties. I miss having a feline overlord, but I do have the 60-pounder over there in the corner that doesn't really like cats. So
fair.
Yeah. A mouthful of fur. Yes, this week I was really ready to give up for good. What I really need is change of scenery and spend time with friends. Only don't have any local friends, so that means travel. So I need money and spoons.
I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that.
I love Discord for that reason, and getting online and talking with my friends, because they live 2.5 hours away. The ones that I usually get in touch with. So. But talking to them can be great. Just being able to talk to them. Angel says, although I've published my debut novel 2 months ago, I had to make small edits here and there after reading the book from my proof book, and I've received a few days later and do some formatting. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, don't do like what I did. I basically published my first book, and it did go through editors. But yeah, I'm redoing the first 2 books now, because I have the editing suites that I needed, and oh boy, am I finding some stuff. But there again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It needs to be done. And so the way I look at it is, at least I got it out there, Well,
and the nice thing is as indie authors, like, once we upload our stuff, 72 hours and it's done. And that's like, so I'm reading the Franny Fisher mysteries as my palette cleanse, and editing brain is like finding stuff, and these are books that have been through multiple editors, books that have been out for years, and I'm like, oh, look at this, oh, here we go, they missed that, and and it's like, editing brain is picking this out, and I'm like, no, stop it, we're just reading that, we're not picking this out, we're not picking it apart. So yeah, I always tell people, I have an 8th edition Anne McCaffrey that's got like 20 big errors in it. like wrong words and messed up sentences. And it's like, so, you know, even the nice thing about us all being indie authors is we can literally, if an error is found, it's like,
we can go back and fix it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that, because that was one of the reasons I was like, all right. And I'm going to say this is the last time I'm going to redo it, the books, but at the same time, it is cool that we don't have to go through all this bureaucracy to go back in and go, hey, I need to fix that. Okay. Do I have permission to fix that?
Yeah.
Because we could do it ourselves. My 2-hour family calls once a month have started hitting 6 hours twice a month, and regret the 4-hour move, but not the space I gained. And never Panda, who came to me here. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah. I mean, it's like we're paying half the rent. Well, we're not even renting. We went ahead and bought this house, but like we're paying half as much here as we were paying where we were. But yes, do I miss everybody and miss being able to just jump in the car and go down the street to meet everybody? Yes, but at the same time, you got to do what you got to do. And there's usually good stuff that comes out of it.
Yeah. I know when I first moved up here, like I've spent 90% of my life in North Carolina. So all my friends and family are in North Carolina. My husband, who was born and raised in North Carolina, all of his friends and family are there. So
me too.
What we started doing was, we like to call them work dates, where we planned a day to all be together online at the same time on like we've actually been using StreamYard and just not going live with it. And we would all do our own thing, but kind of just chit chat while we're doing it for like hours at a time. Haven't done one of those in a while, actually. I need to get with everybody and be like, hey, anyone up for a work date?
I think that's a good idea. I need to get with my friends and do that. Because I got StreamYard now, and then like we've got Discord. Like we have our own Discord server, or our own little Discord area that we go to, but we're only using it to chat because we have such different schedules. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like, maybe we could do that.
My husband uses Discord. They have, because of the chat feature, he is on every night chatting with friends.
Oh yeah, me too.
So, via the audio stuff. And it's really interesting to walk by, because I think he's not doing anything. He just randomly starts talking, and they're all playing their own individual games. Sometimes they're not playing the same game. And they're all just staying quiet, doing their own thing, until all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way. And they just randomly start talking to each other. It's fantastic.
The hubs gets up with me with the gaming, because then I'll just out of nowhere, I'll just be like cursing something, and he's like, what just happened? The game.
Yeah, so that's what my family does, is we're all spread out, that we'll like get online and chat with each other. Like while like I'll be in the kitchen cooking, someone will be folding laundry, someone will be, I'll be doing different things, but we're just all talking together. Hi, Eva. And it's having the connections to the people around us. We're in a situation where we live now, where most of the people we know that, so we've lived here since 2005. So most of the people we've known have actually like moved away. Like we and even people like the old timers that we knew have moved away. So it's having that step away from the creative life, the writer life, is very important.
The cat distribution system, yes. I like those videos where they say, is this how you get a cat? I like those videos.
Where the cats just show up randomly.
Yes. They just show up randomly. Wait, this isn't my cat.
Universal cat distribution system.
Let's see, Kami, I have that feeling. I moved halfway across the country and started over in the friend line, and not being able to talk to those I usually talk to daily. Yep. Yeah, I think, well, that happened to me when we first moved to North Carolina from Alabama, but over the years that has progressively been not a problem. making my own new family up here and then having to move away from them was more of a shock for me. I think. See, my family is all within 3 miles of me, but my friends are all over, so I just hang with them on Zoom calls and Discord. Yeah, it's like those like I got my gaming friends, I got my regular friends, and then I got my family friends from Alabama, and it's you just got so many different friend groups, but they're really really helpful when it comes to getting my brain back reset. One of the other things I was going to bring up was the injection of new information and ideas for breaking the block, because y'all recently were able to do a character randomizer, and I know I've only done one so far, but that really gave me lots of ideas and stuff. So, anybody want to talk about where they get their new ideas from?
That's part of the reason I'm doing the creative refill tracking and writing down what I'm watching and stuff. Okay, you all know I have my big folder back here that's got all my little scribbles in it, and I have my handy dandy little plan, my little coupon binder right here that I like will scribble notes and tuck in there for later. But it's because I'm such a planner and a world builder, I tend to have everything set in already when I'm starting the world. So the flash fictions and the character randomizer stuff that I do, those are just me like it's like adding a squeeze of lemon to my tea. It's just adding that extra little bit of flavor. But the stories that I'm normally working on, I've usually got those planned out, but I am very much, I'm a planner and a plotter, and I do leave spaces for planting. And I have planted in some things like, my daughters were playing this game. I don't even remember what the game was called, but it gave me the idea for one of my planting chapters in the Relic of Time War series, where it's the chapter's called Realm of Dragons, and they go the armor that they wear is made of queen scale dragon resin. And so I got to go down this little, after seeing these very serpentine Chinese dragons in this game, I was like, ooh, I want those in my game, and they're practically indestructible. And I was like, so we're gonna go to where these dragons live, and I'm gonna write this whole little side little, it only pops up like 4 times in the entire 1.4 million word series. But that little bit of thing, I was able to work it into. That is the source of where they get the dragon scales for the armor that they eventually start powdering and making like 3D printed armor out of dragon scale resin. Ooh. To have biometrically fit 3D armor. And so, and I had to have a place to source this. And so that is how, you like when you get like new information and you're putting it in, I am a planner, so it's very hard for me to do. But as pantsers, you're both planter writers.
Yeah.
So you write more on the fly. So it's probably a lot easier for you to do that than it is for me.
I do planning and plotting when it comes to if I've got a specific project that I've got to do, or somebody orders from me, or if it's, especially if something is an article or anything like that that's nonfiction, that's where I my mind focuses on doing an outline first and then making sure that I do all that. Otherwise, I just write for the fun of the characters and let them go where they want to go. And then I put them into a plotter. What else? Like, I guess I do plan a little bit, maybe put what we used to call goalposts in fan fiction writing. When we were in the RPGs, the moderators had goalposts that they wanted to get to, but we left it open for all of our writers to just get their in their own sweet time and however they wanted to get there. We just were trying to focus on getting to a goalpost within a certain amount of time, usually by quarter. So that's a fun way to write too. But I recently actually went to the movies not long ago, and so that was fun. And I got some ideas, even just watching a movie for the first time in a while. I don't know if anybody else has been out and about. I've been a hermit, so for me it was different.
If it hasn't involved the kids in 4-H, I haven't gone anywhere to do anything.
How do you stop new information input from like taking over like a story? Or is that even, I mean, since I don't write that way, I don't know, but I have seen you've heard me make the joke about the book that I was reading, beta reading, and I had to tell the girl, no, I don't think you should publish this, because it was like every new thing she read went into the book until eventually the main character was a vampire witch, werewolf, vampire witch werewolf hybrid, who was also an angel, and her great grandmother was a goddess, and it just everything, just every trope that could be added to her, it just kept getting added and added and added. And it was like, I was like, okay, you're gonna have to, the idea is intriguing, but you're gonna have to find a place. I mean, she can't be all of these things. And it's like, I make the joke, about the unicorn angel hybrid, vampire werewolf witch hybrid, just OP turning into a demigoddess thing. And it's like when you get this new input, how do you stop it from like, how do you stop yourself from going over the top?
When I have new ideas pop in, I usually write them down in a notebook for future reference. But also, if I'm going to use a new idea, I usually don't add it to an established character. I usually create a new character. And I try to also place that new character in my world, so it's not an exact duplicate of the character that influenced me or inspired me. Also, so they're going to be different. They're going to be just an inspired by character instead. And oftentimes, if something really catches my eye and I'm inspired by it, I actively seek to write down things about my character that I would want different from the original character that inspired it, because I never want to just copy somebody or an idea, even an idea. Like I don't know. I mean, I get that there's a market for it, right? But I don't know how many times I've read True Blood over and over again, because people are kind of just like taking that and making it into a book over and over and over again. It's like, okay, well, I mean, I guess you can do that and you're making money off of it. That's cool. But for me, I want to change what has inspired me for my world, if that makes sense.
Well, there is a market for mimicry. I mean, when things like Hunger Games or Divergent or Harry Potter or Vampire Diaries, when these come out, people tend to, they love it so much that they write their own version of it. But again, it's like
fairy tale retellings, things like that.
It's how far do you go in? How far do you copy that world, and how far do you blend it into your own world. But I like your idea of never adding it to an existing customer or existing character.
Characters can be customers too.
Yeah. Well, write your own fan fiction. Like if you get excited about something adding on, just write your own fan fiction.
Yeah. That's great advice too. I think that it's like you don't necessarily have to add it to your original story. You can be inspired by something and you can really enjoy it, but you can do fan fiction with it. You can just write down the idea behind it and then change things to where, okay, well, I'm going to do a different character, but it's going to be kind of like that because I like these particular points of this character, but I want to change it to make sure that they also have this or don't have this. So yeah, I feel like that's kind of where I stand when it comes to being inspired by somebody and then but not going overboard with having to have absolutely everything that I read go into a particular character, certain group of characters. I'm going to catch up on chat real quick. So Cammie told us the story of getting Panda because she had planned on getting 2 cats that were being fostered, and they wound up being so loved at the foster house that they wound up keeping the cats, and that's how she wound up with Panda. So that's cool. Love that. Rita said, if it wasn't for the online writing community, I would not talk to anyone for days or weeks. Well, besides the husband, and that's pretty quiet. Oh, wow. Yeah. I've got, my best friend is the hubs, but at the same time, yeah, if I didn't have this community and my friends that I gamed with and wrote with online, then yeah, I'm so happy about the internet when it comes to stuff like that. Just did the same to me. Okay, you were talking about the login that you're having trouble with.
Yeah,
get that resolved.
Long.
They can be a pain sometimes. Let's see. Poor stressed out fur buddy. Glad you found each other. Let's see. I just had a little story idea pop up today. It's going to be cute. I don't know when. I have 0 time, but sometime it'll be cute. Yes. Write it down. Make sure you write it down. Otherwise, you'll forget it.
My wheel.
It will happen.
You're what 92 now on the wheel?
Don't talk about my wheel in that manner.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm the thinking that if I forget, there's a different idea that's better. Oh, that's a good way to put it. Cat Paw says, I take an hour and scribble it down as much as I can. Yeah.
See, that's what I do when I get that new idea, shiny idea thing. I do the purge right to get it out of my brain, and then I go back to what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Cammie says, I do character bios. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Raise your hand if you go down the rabbit hole.
I do character bios. If there's a new info input, a different character is born for it, a different story. Never the character I'm currently writing about. That's Cammie, I'm glad you said it that way because that's basically what I was trying to say. I don't think I've ever added to a character. Once I create a character, they're that character. That's them. And the only thing that I'm going to add to it is maybe history, some of the history in the background because they're in present right now. And I feel that everybody has a history that we haven't discovered yet. And I like to let people discover the history as I'm writing. So sometimes I discover the history as I'm writing. Jordan has a question. How do you stop yourself from going over the top? And how do you stop yourself from repeating someone? Well, we've explained the second part of that from repeating someone. But how do you keep yourself from going over the top with a character? Anybody?
I don't know if I do.
See, I'm going to drop something in the chat so it'll share. I do the interview thing, the 30 question interview, so that I actually have limits that I put on my characters that falls into the 30 question interview. I'm popping it into the feed now. Because I write fantasy worlds, and because I have these OP people, but I'm also a very strong believer in flaws and weaknesses. So I build those into my characters as I'm building my characters. Like, well, you've heard me talk about Daisy. She calculates down to the last iota of magic she can use because she uses math to do magic, because she was a physicist before she became an oracle. So she uses math to do magic, and she calculates down to the last decimal place of magic she can use. And there's times when she's like, and now I'm going to faint. And then she does, because she's pushed herself to this point. Like there's one scene at the very, very end of the entire series where she literally pushes herself to the point of death. And it's only because the Celestials decide to save her that she is not but forever. And but I think that the writing the flaws, having characters with flaws, having characters that have limitations actually makes for better characters. So and because I've seen so many characters like on Wattpad and Inkit where they've been written, they're so OP that nothing can overcome them, that it's, those aren't interesting books. It's like, wow, now I have magic. So, it's almost like the Star Trek rule of writing. Because if you look at Star Trek isn't science fiction, it's science fantasy, because in every single episode of Star Trek, there's suddenly something that they couldn't do before. And and that makes for no stakes. If the character is always able to come up with something they couldn't do before to solve any dilemma in the story, eventually the readers are going to get to this point where they're like, oh, and what now? Are they going to turn into Q and just alter the gravitational coefficient of the entire universe?
Yes.
Right.
So
Jordan says that's interesting insight, Mama Maggie, because I'm thinking of actually sitting down and writing characters that have flaws and disabilities. Yeah. And those are needed.
Because they're human.
I agree.
Well, maybe they're human.
Well, mine aren't human, not all of them, but they all have their own flaws, and some of them with disabilities, and there's always stakes. There's always the chance of death where my characters are concerned. And I just believe that that's necessary. I agree with Maggie on that. If you do overtop stuff, it gets boring.
Cineas is the perfect example of someone who has, had that devil may care attitude, but he's lost so much and been so hurt that he's just like, he's pulled so far back into himself. And almost it's like there's points where he's like afraid not just to extend his magic as a dragon, but also to extend himself as a person. So
yes.
characters with flaws are the interesting ones.
I always fall in love with the ones that are flawed or that have the backstory of, in even villains that have this backstory of something went haywire, So that's just been me, and so that's how I try to write them. I was a Magneto person, so if that makes sense, if anybody knows Marvel well enough, I was always like, Magneto was right. Sometimes you're like, I don't think I could ever go that far, but
Well, the best villains, in my opinions, are the ones where like you agree with what they're doing, but not how they're going about it.
That, yeah. It's like, I don't blame you, but at the same time, Kami says, on Tuesday, I finalized and printed out the 358th character, better be final, bio for my erotic sci-fi-esque world. Congratulations. That's a lot to take in. Eva says, I don't feel like I consciously create characters. I can understand that as a plantser. Rita says, my characters tend to change and grow as I write. Also understand that. What is over the top? Look at real life.
Right.
It's getting more and more drastic, isn't it? Mama Maggie added the 30-question interview, which is fantastic. I have it saved off because it is fantastic. I like it. It's made me look back on other characters that I had in mind that I've written before, and I've gone, let me see how it stacks up or how I would answer that for this character. And it really hits my brain. Let's see. Kami says, I have 5 characters who I hate, like scum of the earth, that even if I fell into a story world, weren't anything except that putrid sack of crap. And that's what the world needs of them. And that is fine. I have 2 of those. And what's funny is one of them, I don't think anybody realizes is that way, or, they don't think of them that way. It's not in the, I don't think that I've introduced them in the current series, but yeah, they really are that. Also, no, actually, I would say Morfessa is like that. Morfessa is just, he knows what his place is in this world, and everybody else had better just deal with it. And so that's that kind of character.
Morfessa has this personality of old aristocrat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally the first thing I picked when I was reading through. That's the first thing I picked up on him.
Yeah.
Is he has that ancient aristocrat attitude. And so, yeah.
And he's tried to teach his son that, but his son is around other people who are not that, and he's learning, drat it, from other people not to be that way. So the villain isn't going to have all his influence. This is interesting insight. Okay, I've already done that one. Was Darth Vader really even a bad guy? Are the Daleks wrong, though? Eva's got points going on over here. Let's see.
Bad guys.
Jordan says they wish to cure us, and I said to you, we are the one, a cure from the condition they call Homo sapiens.
Well, it's
yeah.
One of my favorite quotes was by a man named Robert Williams, and he said, I don't fear monsters or demons. I fear what real people do to real people. And it's like, there's like descriptions, what was it? Humans are a virus that have infected we're a macro virus that has infected our planet. And it's like, well, you're not completely wrong that we're like a sentient macro virus that's like destroying our host. So yes, sort of, and it's like, it's villains can be very interesting to look at. It's especially like the villain in Relic of Time series. He thinks he's the one in the control, but you more and more you get to see that he's just a puppet for the servants of the devouring entity. And the thing is the Lord of Shadows and the Dark Queen entities, they know their servants, they know their slaves. Their job is to find ways to feed their deity, to feed the devourer. And Damien, he thinks that he can control it. He thinks he can control them. And there's this level of delusion that starts with sibling rivalry and a resentment against the powers in his family that he doesn't seem to have, that leads him down this path of volunteering to be indwelled. And it's a delusion. It's like an addiction. Oh yeah, Cammie, exactly. A lot like the Silver Surfer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's.
So you were going Marvel, and I was going George R.R. Martin. So there's and to be fair, I've not read or seen the entire thing, but House of the Dragon, there's a character specifically in there that is the son of the king who he's always been bullied. He's always had problems thrown at him. He's always had to get his other siblings out of trouble. And he winds up being the very one that is bonded to the oldest dragon available, the biggest and oldest dragon available. And the problem with that is that he has all of this resentment inside of him, and all of from the bullying and everything, and always being talked down to and stuff, always being the second son, to the point that now he has all of this and it's bonded into the dragon. So the dragon feels it, and they start the entire war basically because of it. So yeah, that is some heavy duty stuff right there. Let's see. I know what you're talking about, by the way. Yes, Eric Lyncher Magnus is Magneto. And yeah, he and Gargamel just wanted to get pests out of the garden, right? That's right. There's that, maybe they were good people, they saw the Smurfs as pests, right? Who knows what they've been doing out there? Only 2 of the 5 can be forgiven, if not with what they've done, because their species literally have no moral compass, and their only drive is doing what they want. These are ideas in and of themselves, I would say Darth Vader isn't necessarily evil. I mean, he redeems himself, so sort of. I don't know that that's redemption. I mean, after what he did, I'm not sure that's redemption, but you want to think it is.
There's, what is it? The TikTok that's going around right now that's showing up on Facebook and Instagram. I don't have TikTok, so I see, like, TikTok comes to me through other platforms, where it's like, you don't want to date the hero because he will let you burn to save the world. You want to date the villain because he will burn the world to save you.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, no. It's I think I'm more in getting, the older I get, the more I get into that line of get off my grass, get off my lawn.
Well, too, and when it comes to villains, for me, I think Ari Salvatore and some of the others that write with him really caught me off guard with some of the Bregenderth and the Drow. Some of the ideas behind that. I remember there's one speech with Gromp Banner, who was the Archmage of Menzoberranzan, and he was it was just the speech, and now I can't think of the exact phrasing, so I'll paraphrase. Basically, we would not have what we have if not for evil. You have to have a certain amount of willingness to do the things that need to be done in order to adapt and to grow society, culture, civilization, etc. And I was like, that's a way to look at it too.
And one group's evil is another group's religion, and it's like the Ferengi are a perfect example of this. Their literal entire society is built on capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the characters that you're building, they need to be believable. Content wise, they have to be a believable, relatable character with something that tags into the person that you're looking at. It's like my big villain that's coming up in Pagosa's Cliffs. Now that I'm into the next set of books, the next trilogy. The big villain there is he's the brother of a beloved character who is missing. And as you're going through the book, you find out that, oh, this guy that came from a family with everything, had the best schools, had the best life. He's the big villain. But his reason for being a big villain is not because he wants wealth. He already has that. He doesn't want influence. He already has that. What he wants is to make the love of his life's dreams come true. And her dreams were to originally run her father's cartel. That was what she wanted for her whole life. And then after some things happen, the father basically accidentally gets her like very, very hurt. And so he gives her money to go away so he doesn't have to see her and feel guilty. And then Gilliam's whole motivation is to give Frederica what she has always wanted. And he goes down this dark path. He becomes a murderer and an embezzler and a blackmailer and a drug dealer, all under the guise of this upright, wealthy, upper class guy that's just trying to make a go of his brother's winery. And you can make villains with layers that have them relatable to the point that you're like, but are they really a villain? Because what would you do for the person you loved most in the world if they had gone through a horrible trauma and lost everything they'd ever wanted? You would do anything you could to make them happy. So, are you a murderer, a blackmailer, a sex trafficker, and a drug dealer? Yes, but my goal is to make my beloved wife happy. So am I a bad guy? Yeah, you're a bad guy. You're a very bad guy.
Getting Wilson Fisk vibes.
That reminds me of some of the videos my kids have been watching about various things that happen. And I look at them, I'm going, look, if I was in that situation, that's the start of my villain origin story. That right there is my villain origin story.
Kitty. Kitty's letting us know it's almost time to go. We have actually been here for an hour. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've covered all of the topics that I had written down. And we even went into how the villains can make it even better. So, and are they really villains? If that is all, I think we can end it on Kitty.
Kitty, yes. This is the one. This Kitty. Is the one that's got the curvature of the spine. I don't know if you can see it. He's got a curve. I love the coloring.
Spine.
He was born paralyzed on his back legs, but he was very healthy. So I did physical therapy on him for the first 3 months that he was a baby, and he's actually to the point that he can like run, and he doesn't jump well because he doesn't have that strength. And he went up a tree the other day, and I had to climb up the tree and rescue him.
Oh no!
Because he can't. He couldn't climb down. But no, he's doing amazingly well. So yes, very happy with him. He's a very handsome boy. Very handsome. Very.
All right, everybody. We ready to go?
Yes.
Awesome. Do we want to do outros or just say goodbye to everybody?
I'm good with whatever you want to do. This is your show.
That's so cool. Kimmy says your distribution agent did a very good job for him. Feline distribution for the win.
Yes.
All right. Well, Skye, you do an outro, and then Magie, and then I will close it out.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. My name is Skye. I'm a fantasy author who typically writes paranormal romance under the name SD Haggis. We joke oftenly about the fact that I have too many projects to work on, and they are all sitting on a spinning wheel that I every once in a while use to pick what project I'm going to work on for the day. I haven't used it lately because I've been doing lots of other things unrelated to writing. And yeah, that's all I've got.
I'm Mama Maggie Ward, independent author, stroke survivor, and I have The Smart Chimera coming out on the 18th. Inspired by the fact that if you go and start researching the Greek myths, you find out that there are like 5 or 6 endings to every story. So what better way to explain all of the different recorded endings than to have history repeating itself because Zeus is an arrogant ass.
Zeus is an arrogant ass in all the stories, by the way.
In all of the stories. And the whole reason he keeps repeating the great game is because he wants everyone to remember him as benevolent. He wants to do all the things that he does and still be remembered the good guy. And that's why he's basically driving the world insane. So,
Oh,
yeah.
Goodness. I kind of can't wait to read this book.
That's it. I didn't I send you an advanced reader copy?
I don't think so. I'll have to look, but I know that I've done the pre-order and everything. So I'm going to get it one way or another. And it's going to have a review.
I should send you the advanced reader copy. Yeah, I'm going to have to mail out the print copies that were ordered and send those. I got to send those out tomorrow. So yeah, I've got a book coming. I just finished my anniversary and doing a reset, doing my own little personal mental reset to start the August 80K, which is 80,000 words of writing or editing. And I will see you guys on the other side of that.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I'm Rachel Adams, Rachel D. Adams, if you're looking me up. And I co-write with Dawn McClellan. We have 2 series out, both set in the same worlds. And we are urban fantasy, paranormal romance writers with a lot of plot. So be aware of that. We have, I also have aggressively helpful writing advice, which is my Substack. And I hope that I can continue to do all of these things because I really enjoy them. I guess we will see you guys next week, regularly scheduled 10 a.m. Eastern time for Breaking the Block. Who knows what kind of subjects we're going to cover. Bye.